What if I told you the answer to your anxiety, your search for purpose, or even that exhaustion of living on autopilot, is hidden in something you do every day yet barely notice? Breathing, walking, observing a flower. These actions are so simple we often ignore them, yet they hold transformative power. In Buddhism, these everyday moments are gateways to a fuller life, and in this video you'll discover how. If you want to reduce stress, find clarity, or simply feel more connected to yourself, this content is for you. At the end, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This ensures access to more stories that illuminate, practices that transform, and reflections to accompany you on your daily journey. Imagine this. You wake up, grab your phone, check messages, rush to work, eat lunch without tasting the food, and at day's end wonder, where did I lose myself? Does this sound familiar? Our minds are constantly split between what's past and what's yet to come, like a river that never stops flowing. But what if the peace you seek isn't elsewhere, but in this very moment? A Zen story illustrates this perfectly. A famously impatient samurai once visited his master to ask about enlightenment. As the master calmly prepared tea, the samurai rambled about his achievements and frustrations. Suddenly, the master poured tea into the cup until it overflowed. "Stop. The cup is full," shouted the samurai. "Just like this cup," replied the master, "your mind is so filled with thoughts that there's no room for anything new. First, empty yourself." This video invites you to empty your mind of excess and dive into practical Buddhist wisdom. You'll learn how to turn routine tasks into meditations. Yes, even washing dishes can be a spiritual practice. Why the present moment is the only one that truly exists, and how this can ease your anxiety. Zen stories that reveal surprising truths about emotional balance. How many times today did you do something without being fully present? Share an example in the comments. The time trap. Imagine standing at the edge of a river. The water that has passed is gone. The water yet to come doesn't exist. All that remains is the current beneath your feet, this very moment. Buddhism calls this the illusion of time. Our minds often act like restless travelers, dwelling on the past, projecting worries onto the future, and thus missing the only real moment, the present. How often have you caught yourself driving to work with no memory of the route? Or eating lunch while scrolling through your phone, unaware of the food's taste? This happens because our attention is fragmented, like a cracked mirror reflecting only shards of reality. A young disciple, eager for answers, once asked their master, "How do I attain enlightenment?" The master calmly poured tea into a cup. When the liquid overflowed, the disciple shouted, "Stop! The cup is full." "Just like this cup," replied the master, "your mind is too busy with questions about the future to receive what the present offers." Think of your life as a book. If you only read the first pages, the past, or anxiously flip to the end, the future, you'll miss the story being written right now. The 10-second pause. Before starting a task, whether replying to an email, joining a meeting, or checking social media, take 3 deep breaths. Inhale, counting to 4. Exhale, counting to 6. Feel the air flowing in and out like ocean waves. The lost moment exercise. Choose a routine action each day, opening a door, turning on your computer, and turn it into a trigger for mindfulness. Ask yourself, am I truly here or is my mind elsewhere? Yes, it sounds simple, and it is, but don't underestimate the power of a pause. As a Japanese proverb says, even a broken clock shows the right time twice a day. The trick is not to be the clock. The power of mindfulness. How often have you made coffee while checking messages, only to realize you didn't notice its aroma? Or showered while thinking about your to-do list, unaware of the water flowing over your skin? Living in the present isn't about abandoning responsibilities, it's about being fully present as you fulfill them. Buddhism teaches us that even the simplest tasks can become meditation. Oh, let's find out. Take the dirty dishes in the sink. Instead of seeing them as a chore, turn it into a ritual. Feel the water's temperature. Notice the soap bubbles reflecting light. Observe the precision of your hands. Each washed plate becomes a blank page, a chance to start anew. There's a tale of a disciple who swept the temple garden for 10 years. One day, frustrated, he complained to his master, "I've swept since I arrived, yet nothing changes. Leaves fall, the ground gets dirty, and it all starts over." The master smiled and said, "Come back tomorrow. But this time, sweep with your eyes, not your hands." The next day, the disciple noticed details he'd overlooked. The texture of leaves, the patterns on the ground, the rustle of wind through branches. "Now I understand," he said. "I wasn't sweeping the garden, I was sweeping away my own impatience." Imagine your mind as a camera lens. If you focus only on the end result, the clean plate, you miss the beauty of the process. But if you adjust your focus to the present, the foam, the circular motion of the sponge, you transform a task into a sensory experience. The meditation of small things. Choose a daily action, making coffee, brushing your teeth, and turn it into a mindfulness practice. Turn off devices. Notice colors, textures, sounds. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. The subtitle-free movie, Exercise. During a walk, observe your surroundings as if watching a silent film. Don't judge, "What a gray day," or plan, "I need to buy bread." Simply see, like a child discovering the world for the first time. Yes, even your cat understands this better than we do. Ever noticed how it spends minutes watching a leaf sway? Maybe it's a Zen master disguised as a fluffy guru. What boring task would you turn into meditation? Share in the comments. If you want more tips like this, subscribe to the channel. In upcoming videos, we'll explore how even traffic jams can become opportunities for inner peace. Don't miss out. Freedom without judgment. How often have you labeled a rainy day as bad, a meeting as boring, or even silence as awkward? Buddhism warns us, these labels, these automatic judgments, are what separate us from reality and trap us in a narrative of dissatisfaction. The good news? There's a way to break free. Imagine a window covered in raindrops. If you cling to the idea that the glass should be clean, you'll only see smudges and distortions. But if you observe the drops as part of the landscape, each unique, reflecting light in its own way, the irritation transforms into curiosity. The mind works similarly. When we stop labeling experiences as good or bad, we begin to see life in its pure essence. Suppose you're stuck in traffic. Your first reaction might be, "This is a waste of time." But what if, instead, you observe the moment? The sound of rain on the car roof, the music on the radio, the chance to take deep breaths before reaching your destination. The suffering doesn't come from the traffic itself, but from your judgment of it. A Zen master asked his disciples, "If a fire destroys a forest, what remains?" One answered, "Ashes and destruction." Another said, "Space for new trees to grow." The master smiled, "Both are correct. But only one of you is free." The lesson? Reality is neutral. It's our interpretations that determine whether we suffer. The observer's pause. Next time you feel irritation or frustration, follow these steps. Pause. Take 3 deep breaths. Observe, am I reacting to what's happening or to my judgment of it? Reframe. Try describing the situation without adjectives. For example, say, "It's raining," instead of, "The day is miserable." The non-judgment journal. Spend a day noting situations that usually trigger judgments, e.g., long lines, workplace criticism. Next to each, write a neutral description. Reflect at day's end. How does this shift your perspective? Yes, it's easier to judge traffic than accept it. After all, no one wins a medal for patience during rush hour, but imagine the energy you'd save. What situation do you judge most in your daily life? Share in the comments and let's practice non-judgment together. If this exercise feels challenging, you're not alone. Subscribe to the channel for more practical tools to transform your relationship with everyday challenges. And remember, peace lies in the space between judgment and observation. Honoring impermanence. Everything changes. That's the only certainty. The sun rises and sets, seasons shift, even the cells in your body renew every instant. Buddhism calls this impermanence, and paradoxically, it's this very transience that gives meaning to the present. A monk once compared life to a dewdrop, fragile, fleeting, and radiant precisely because of its brevity. But how do we turn this idea into a tangible practice? Picture a sunset. Have you noticed how the golden light seems more vivid precisely because we know it will soon fade into dusk? Impermanence isn't a cause for sorrow but a reminder that every moment is unique. Just as a flower blooms and withers, our lives are made of irrepeatable instants, and this awareness invites us to honor the now. A young disciple, tormented by the idea of death, asked his master, "If all is temporary, why do we cling?" The master took a handful of sand and let it slip through his fingers. The beauty of sand isn't in keeping it but in feeling its texture, color, and movement. So it is with life. Cherish it as it flows, not as you try to grasp it. The curious observers pause. Spend 2 minutes today noticing something usually overlooked. The sound of wind rustling leaves. The texture of a weathered wall. The silence between songs on your playlist. Ask yourself, if I knew this moment would never repeat, how would I live it? The temporary farewell practice. At day's end, choose an object or person, a glass of water, a coworker, and mentally bid them farewell as if it were the last time. This isn't to fuel anxiety but to cultivate gratitude for what exists now. Consider a cup of coffee. Have you noticed the spiral of steam rising, the aroma shifting with temperature? Instead of seeing it merely as a drink, view it as a fleeting experience, like all of life's moments. Yes, even that message in your family WhatsApp group is impermanent. One day someone will clear the chat and all political debates will turn to digital dust. Isn't that liberating? What would you observe today with fresh eyes if you knew it was the last time? Share below. If the idea that all passes has shifted your perspective, subscribe to the channel. Remember, impermanence isn't a goodbye but an invitation to say, thank you, while you still can. Living in the present, Buddhism teaches, isn't a distant goal atop a mountain. It's an invitation to awaken now, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, but this very moment as you breathe, blink, or hear these words. Imagine a lantern within you. It doesn't need to be lit, it already shines even if you've forgotten to look. Every breath, gesture, and thought is a step toward recognizing this light, and this journey turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Think of a simple moment today, tying your shoes, savoring morning coffee, or the silence between songs on your phone. These aren't trivial details. They're portals, opportunities to connect with stillness behind motion, the space between thoughts, the peace beyond circumstances. Just as we've learned not to underestimate the power of a pause, to turn tasks into meditations, and to observe without judgment, honoring impermanence reminds us that every instant is unique. If this content resonated with you, join our community. Subscribing grants access to more Zen stories that challenge the mind, Buddhist practices that calm the heart, and reflections that balance the soul. Hit the bell to be reminded whenever a new light is kindled here. Remember, you don't need to change who you are to find peace. You just need to awaken to who you already are. The light you seek isn't elsewhere. It already illuminates every step of your journey. Until next time, may each day be a new page in the book of your mindfulness. What everyday gesture will you honor today as a practice of presence? Comment below and inspire others. The journey of awakening begins with a single step, and it's right here now.